All right.
And Aki will let us know.
I hear something. I'm just not sure what it is. All right. So, and we're on.
We are live.
That's the countdown. That's the countdown. We're just
You'd think
on.
we'd have it down by now, but no, we don't. So welcome to the Midweek FICA show, everybody. It's July 21st, 2020. I'm your host, Carl, and as always, your lovely host, Naki, is here as well. Good evening, Naki.
Good evening.
That's what we're trying to get used to, saying good evening and not good morning. So I'm the one with the goofy headphones. Naki's the one with the big, huge earrings. And I don't even have to look. I just know she's got big, huge earrings on. We're just a few weeks away from the elections in Hawaii for the state Senate seats, as well as others. So there's no better time right now than to have the guest that we have on. She's coming to us from the Rainbow State. She's Hawaii through and through.
Yes.
And looking to represent neighborhoods like Kapahulu, Kaimuki, Palolo, Mount Alani Heights, Mo'iliili, and the Alawai. St. Louis Heights as well. For District 10 in Hawaii, in Oahu. So our positive Pacific Islander role model today is Vicki Higgins. Good afternoon, Vicki.
Hey, good afternoon. Nice to be here. Thank you. Hey, good job on all the vowels.
Oh, hey, you do listen. You do listen to the show. Hit all the vowels.
Very good.
I know.
In my backyard.
I have a cheat sheet because I used to live in Hawaii, so I'm used to. And as soon as I saw that, I'm like, ooh, okay, so Rainbow Drive-In.
Right down the street from me. Still, they just opened another Rainbows in Kalihi.
Oh, really?
Appropriate. So, yeah.
That's a long time to go for a, because they could open that up, years ago. That's such a big name.
Oh, definitely a fixture on our Kapahulu landscape.
Yeah. So, we'll just get right into it. What gave you that you don't have previous office? You haven't held any offices before, publicly elected offices. What gave you the idea? Hey, I'm going to run for a state Senate seat.
Wow, that's a loaded question. I haven't run for office myself. I've been involved in a lot of campaigns over many years. I did work at the Capitol for a total of, in and around the Capitol for a total of 20 years.
Wow.
And so I understand how the process works. I understand the legislative process quite well. But let's just say pre-pandemic never entered my mind. Pandemic happened, and as you probably know, devastated our visitor industry. So a lot of, which is substantial here.
Huge, it's huge, yeah.
It is. Everybody is somehow impacted or directly, their businesses are dependent on visitor industry here. So when that shut down, a lot of inefficiencies in our government got highlighted. And the response from our elected officials was ambiguous at best, if not outright unresponsive. So, I like to say, and I'm sure everybody in their home state likes to say, we have the hardest working people here. Visitor industry has been number one. Everybody's been so reliant on it pretty much since statehood, 1959, great year. And it just all these years later, you guys, it just hasn't paid off. If you ask me, fail. It's a fail because we didn't capitalize on that revenue to build other mechanisms, revenue streams or opportunities to really build on that. And just as recently as March, that's the news, that's the front page news. No tourism, no jobs. So on top of that, then it creates this perfect storm of problems. you know, everybody likes to talk about, you know, living paycheck to paycheck. That's not the case here. People are behind paychecks already. Literally the next day, long lines of families were parked outside food banks the next day for food that night.
Wow.
So it really illustrates, you know, the situation that our families are living through. And many of them didn't have their jobs to go to in Waikiki. So it just really was a call to action. When I looked at the district, so as we talked about, I live in Kapahulu now, but I'm from this district. I lived up Maunalani Heights too, and was born in the 1-6 on Kilauea Ave, on the close to Diamond Head. So anyway, this is my backyard. This is my playground. This is where my family decided to establish the roots. So I know every square inch of this entire district. I kind of looked at, you know, the incumbent has been in the legislature, you two. He's been in the legislature since 1986.
That's Leslie Hara.
Yes. And you just, you know, you just can't do a good job after that long. You just can't. So, and especially, you know, there's been a lot of criticism about our governor here. I love California governor, by the way. I love him. I really love him. There's just a lot of criticism about all of our elected officials. The further we got into the pandemic, just as far as, you know, poor leadership, weak decision-making, confusion. Our unemployment office didn't step up in any meaningful way. There just was a complete lack of preparation. So I looked at it and I just asked myself, which is always my first question, is there a clear pathway forward, you know, to actually winning? And very quickly, the answer was yeah. So, you know, me being from here, me really understanding not only the constituency, but our small businesses here, what their needs are, easily identifying some of our problems in this district alone. This district has 53,000 residents. That's pretty sizable. So, and it's a, you know, it's known to be a somewhat affluent district as well. So together, we have the opportunity to start addressing these problems day one, like formulating a legislative package in the last quarter of this year and going in January and just banging it out.
Go.
But I will require the support of the district. Nobody can do this alone.
Yeah. Yeah.
Does that answer your question?
Yes,
yeah.
Does.
You know, I just wanted to recognize some of the people that are shouting you out in the chat. So we have Adele Seau, who's saying hi, everyone. And Molly, of course, Molly Cassidy, Maury, Monama, Anna Mahina, hi, Jimmy. Hi, Adele. Good morning. Hello. Good evening to everyone. I just wanted to start, you were raised in and born and raised in Hawaii. And then we're from the Bay Area, so we know people that know you and have nothing but amazing things to say about you. Can you tell us a little bit about, you know, your where you went to school and what work you did to just boost you here? Like I understand that you're passionate about, you know, your home, and you want people to get to know you so that they can, you know, already they feel the passion that you have. So if you could just tell us a little bit about, you know, where you grew up and siblings and your baby.
Okay. Sure, gladly. Oh, those are all my truth detectors that you gave a shout out to. So I can't stray from the truth too much here. I can't even embellish. So let's see. Yeah, born and raised over here. I went to Star of the Sea High School, which is a girls, well, I went there, I was a lifer, we called. So I went there from first grade to graduation. It's a Catholic girls' school. So we were the sister school to St. Louis, which is our football powerhouse. So I went there, except for part of my freshman year, a big part of my freshman year. My mom's came up with this genius idea at the time that, oh, we should just move to Pango Pango.
Oh.
From the 1-6 to Pango Pango. So we made the move down there, and it was tough. And but I was embraced like so. I didn't know anybody over there. You know, the bulk of our Samoan family had left. First from Savai'i, then they went to church in Mapusanga, where my mom was born in Maraimi. And so most of our family had already left. So who's my friend? Day one comes up and befriends me. And we're still friends to this day, is Doris Ripley.
Cousin Doris.
Yes. So immediately, fast friends. And then through her, you know, her huge family, you know, I met a lot of other people. And then it was such a short period of time, but so much happened. And the relationships that were established there that remain to this day is just amazing. And then this Christine Tauese came.
Sister.
She came after me, and we were just like, she was like a movie star. She just dazzled us, you know, her style, and so charismatic. And we just, you know, I just hung on her every word, you know, how your big sister shows up, and, you know, so, and then back to Hawaii. Those relationships stayed intact. It was also a good way for me to get more culturally grounded. So that was that experience. So I graduated from high school. I went to college first in LA in Marymount Palos Verdes. So at that time it was a junior college, and I had no shortage of relatives all through LA. So that was fun. It was I would spend my my entire school week in Palos Verdes, which is again a pretty nice affluent neighborhood, and my weekends in Compton, Park Village. So that's where I really improved on my basketball game at Carson, Scott Park. And really, again, grew a lot closer to my cousins there, and really understanding more about, you know, who's Vicki as a Samoan, you know, that's always what I'm pursuing. And then went back home, and my dad was an airline executive, so he was with Hawaiian for a long time, and then he started his own airline, Inter Island at the time. And so went to work, met Shirley while I was up in San Francisco, dragged her back home with me.
Oh, wow.
And, we're gonna work at Dad's Airline, it's gonna be great. So I always refer to, you know, in retrospect, I always refer to Shirley as my conscience of those days. So
we're talking about Shirley Sao.
Yeah, oh yeah, Shirley Sao. So Adele was my model on what the oldest sibling, how the oldest sibling is supposed to behave. And then Shirley was my conscience. And I have labels for all of them. So let's see, guys, an eternity ago. Then I did find, so I find my way to the Capitol and started in Senate Majority. So that was my first experience, you know, which I actually did want to circle back to this at some point. That how people don't really understand the legislative process. You know, they don't really understand our form of government, like in any, not great detail or any detail, you know, so it's intimidating for them to become involved if they just don't understand. And to be quite honest, there's not a lot of resources for that. My first session that I worked, they were great people in majority, but at the time it was like you only learn from working a session. There's no manual, there's no schedule, you know, to really prepare you for the timing, and timing is everything over there. Yeah. So you really have to work it in order to understand it. So we need to pull in our youth. I was just sharing with somebody the other day that our middle school kids are perfectly capable of understanding how our government works. It's not hard. You just have to be shown how it works. How many members in Congress, you know, how many people in our legislature here, how many in the House, how many in the Senate, you know, it's, and what everyone's designated role is.
Right.
So you can only learn that now by actually working it. So in and around the Capitol for 20 years. I was also 10 years in the nonprofit sector. I was kind of hoping Nani would chime in because, you know, she's such a great community leader.
She is.
There's a lot of frustration. It's, again, on one hand, it's so entirely rewarding, yeah, because we're of service to the community, we're advancing a mission. And for me, and I've heard this repeatedly from other people that have worked in various organizations, there's a lot of frustration with nonprofit leadership. And my big frustration for 10 years, with a few exceptions, which were outstanding, which highlighted the frustrations though, I just didn't know why it was so hard to get everybody on the same page and to make decisions and to move forward when the mission is very clearly stated, you know, and that's what you're always asking yourself. Is this related to advancing the mission? How can I advance the mission? What is this? What are we going to look like a year from now? You know, missions, the nonprofit sector wasn't established to be around forever. You know, you're supposed to, you know, be of service and, you know, make the troubles smaller and smaller till they're gone. And that's always the goal. So if you can't establish your measurables year after year, and there's a lot of conflict of interest too. I mean, there just was like so much wrong. And basically at the end of 10 years, I had just had it. There was no accountability to my standards or, you know, what my expectation was. So then I bounced to Maui just to get away from it all. And have either of you been to Maui?
I have not been to Maui, no.
You have?
I have.
What island haven't you been to, Carl?
He's been everywhere.
I lived in Hawaii for
Island. I watched the broadcast.
I don't know. I lived there for 3 or 4 years, and I was a district manager for Tower Records. So we met. I mean, all the 4 stores were on Oahu, but we wanted to expand. So we were at the Big Island. We were in Lahaina. We were in other islands looking for places to go, but you know, when you go broke, it's hard to expand stores.
Oh, that's definitely a barrier.
So do you think so you said that you hadn't thought about getting into office until COVID, and then the inefficiencies of the government, really.
Leaders,
and that's really, I mean, to me, what that says is I'm not one to complain about it. I'm not just going to complain. I'm going to go try to fix things rather than just complain. Do you think that's something that you learn from a parent? You know, we're all about role models. You think that's something that you learn from a parent? I remember having a boss that we knew, like, don't complain about something without the solution, because you're going to end up leading the team that fixes whatever problem you're complaining about. So I know where I get that kind of thought process of, like, if I'm going to have criticism, I'm going to have some kind of a solution. Did you have that young, or do you know where you got that when you look at your role models?
That's a good question. Just because I've been doing it that way for so long. So where did it start? I mean, my biggest role model is obviously my dad, right? You know, my mom is, you know, the two of them just perfectly complemented each other for, hey, Afakasi for life. And so the best of both worlds, frankly. My dad, who we just lost last November.
Oh, so sorry.
Oh.
Thank you. Mom still, you know, medical marvel every time she visits. So my dad, you know, just briefly, well, okay. So this is who Vicki really is. So my dad is born in 1930 in a railroad town south of Chicago. My mom, born in 1937 in Malaini. Guess which one knew they were poor? Right? So I always tell, you know, when I share with people, I'm like, you know, so here my mom's got food falling from the trees at her feet. You know, my papa, my grandfather was, you know, legendary farmer on the plantation. So food security, not a problem. On the other hand, in 1930, south of Chicago, and my dad had 4 older siblings. So I always say, you know, he was the youngest of 5 hungry kids. Wow. And so he was, to answer your question, he was motivated at a very, very young age, had a dream of living in Hawaii at a very, very young age, probably some cold, icy winter in Chicago.
They have plenty of those.
So he fast-tracked his college education, and found his way to Hawaii pretty quickly, you know, and he ended up here when a lot of people from the mainland came over at the beginning of statehood, or, you know, just previous to statehood, where things were booming, right? So, but he had this work ethic that most people that had grown up on the mainland during Depression era had. So not a time for, not a lot of time for leisure. or nonsense, or, you know, always all business. Mm-hmm. Everything had to count, you know, everything meant something. So I guess that's the best way to explain, like, you know, kind of what I grew up around, where my mom is full of emotion. You know what I'm talking about. Yeah. And, you know, also came with lots of music and lots of laughter. So that's why I say it was a very well-rounded way to grow up culturally. Yeah. And then, I don't know, maybe it's because of that, Carl, that I found my way in front of people like that, that, you know, that love to impart information. Mm-hmm. So I grew to love or identify my mentors too, very young. And then, yeah, then you just, you know, doing nothing was never an option. Right. That makes sense. Right. So, and I'm the oldest sibling. So there's that built-in responsibility, and, you know, other things that come with that, with siblings. And, but, you know, my brother under me too has been a tremendous influence. Like, I find myself a lot recalling stuff that he's tried to impart to other people. They don't listen, but I did. And I still, you know, apply, you know, I kind of adopted those as other certain principles in decision making. You know, decision making is the key, because I think that's what is really missing in private and public sector, actually. There's been people over, you know, have evolved into this place where avoid decision making at any cost, right? But I don't understand how that translates into their vision for the future, like doing nothing. So you know, we make decisions based on our experiences, you know, and to not be afraid of conflict or, you know, like I always tell the kids, you know, just rip off the Band-Aid, just do it, pick a point,
Right.
start, do it.
Start, right, right. I just wanted to, there's people shouting you out. I'm sorry. Eva Seao is on. She's saying, hey, Florence Masoli. Eva Seao. Lena Teo. She says she's taught.
Hi, my family. Yeah.
Flo says, hey, Vicki. Linda Masoli. Crystal Esse Fafiti, who we were just talking about, just logged in. So everyone's sending their love.
Hi, Christine. And
So
Lily's got to be close by.
Lily's not too far behind, I'm sure. So with the COVID-19 and the whole industry, Hawaii is like, it's the, you know, traveling and the, you know, everybody coming there. The work is you either, and not that you either, but a lot of it is hotel, entertainment. And how do you suppose, or how do you think we're going to get out of the, you know, the, not the slump, but how are we going to get other jobs for, you know, the community to, if this is not available, what other resources do you think they can get into?
We're going to rely heavily on government money for a while, you know, hoping that feds come through with some more for everyone. I mean, we're desperate. This is devastation for us. Right. Now, Oahu, I mean, we have the highest unemployment rate in the nation. Yeah. So I think it was like up to 35% at some point early on, very quickly. So at least on Oahu, you have some other things, you know, if you look hard enough. But that's not to say it's easy by any stretch. Neighbor islands, completely devastated because they're, I mean, almost solely, we might as well just say solely reliant on the visitor industry for restaurants, everything from food trucks to, you know, I mean, name it. Plus there's a lot of, I have my own concierge business. So that, that quickly went bye-bye. Yeah. And we were thriving too. I know a lot of other thriving businesses that, you know, and poor thing, Big Island too, right? They just were devastated in 2018 by months and months of lava. You know, it just devastated the visitor industry for them, and they just barely recovered, and then this happened. So a lot of them actually finally had to close their doors. So the devastation is real. To answer your question, Knack now, a crisis is a terrible thing to waste. Yeah. So as devastating as it is right now, hopefully, you know, we'll find ways to carry us to the end of the year. Yeah. And that just literally means, you know, keeping food on the table. We're fighting now with whether or not to send the kids to school. So again, the direction is just not clear. But to answer your question, you know, I thought since I've been here since ancient times, there's so much talent here. Yeah. Right? Right. There's so much talent here with very few opportunities to, you know, for our young people particularly to be able to express themselves and make a living fulfilling their passions. Right. And my one big idea that came up in the Civil Beat profile, my one big idea was, you know, universal basic income. So we were talking UBI years ago, before anybody even heard of Andrew Yang, because of how Hawaii is situated. Right. Yeah, it might not be appropriate for every state. I don't care, but I care about here. Yeah. So with our high cost of living and wages being so minimal, comparatively, you know, a UBI would allow those kids that want to be the next Sam Choi or, you know, Roy's, or, you know, because there's so much talent there. Music, nobody can touch us, Yeah. So, and these kids want to do it. Actually, every age. You just can't pry a guitar out of their hands.
Right.
You know, there's also brilliant songwriters. And something that I was just made aware of was all the top hip hop artists from the mainland, the ones we've all heard of, or, well, younger than me, they all know, they're coming here to record.
Oh, wow.
Surprise. I don't think I'm letting out any big secret, because a lot of them will post their luxury vacation rental. I'm like, yeah, that's I know.
Yeah.
You know? So they're setting up shop here. So there's a lot you can do here in Hawaii. We can be, and that's just for example, there's much more, but we can be the music capital of the world. We could have like a thriving ag enterprise like the world has never seen before here, island to island. We can be the green capital of the world. You know, there's models for all of this. Right. So these are things we could do pretty quickly. The music thing, I'm telling you, we could do that right quick, for sure. We have traditional farmers here. We have a great enterprise out on the West Coast here that would just be a great model. So they're sending kids through, you know, and they're leaving with an associate's degree, and we're keeping a lot of the high-end restaurants here, keeping their kitchens full. So the opportunity is endless. Yeah. There's just no will, okay, so, you know, just in preparation for today, how can I illustrate how much is not being done right now? So if we have 535 members of Congress, if they put in one full 8-hour day, that's well over 4,000 hours of work for the people per day. Is that what we're seeing? You know, same here, we have 76 legislators. If they put in one full day that we're paying them for, right? Mm-hmm. That's a substantial amount of hours that we're not seeing manifest itself that we're paying for. And that's being a steward of taxpayer dollars.
Yeah, right? I don't think there's ever been the scrutiny on politicians in terms of productivity the way that it is now, because everybody's got a phone, everybody's got social media. Mm-hmm. So I think now more than ever, people are really getting dug into, like, what's their per diem, what's the, you know, what are the perks, what does it take to travel, all those different kind of things. So I think you bring up a good point. You had talked earlier about universal basic income, and because the cost of living in Hawaii is so high, which made me think, well, they already have universal basic income in Alaska. The federal government already pays people that live in Alaska because they want people to live in Alaska. That's right. So for the same reasons of what are the economic factors that are in place that gives universal basic income to Alaskans, then, you know, there is math that would say that Hawaii should receive the same thing, because it's more expensive. It's the most expensive state to live in this, right, in the United States. So I think that's really a good topic to bring up. And I think, you know, although Yang is the one the first to get on a national stage, right, there are a lot of people who have been talking about it for a long time. But it was interesting to me to hear things like universal basic income, Medicare for all, things that 15, 20 years ago, you'd get laughed off. You would never make it on a national stage with being any kind of platform. Mm-hmm. Do you see the same progression in Hawaii? Is the thought process as progressive as kind of the way that I always put it is when people are talking on stage in a presidential debate saying universal health care for all, I just shake my head and go, wow, we've come, just to even have it on stage and be a discussion, we've come a long ways. Do you think Hawaii is the same progressive model that we're seeing?
Hawaii is a funny place, you know. It's a lovely, beautiful paradise. But we have a lot of different ways of thinking about the same thing. To directly answer your question, Carl, UBI, the first issue, it was the same thing when candidate Yang brought it up. Where are we going to get the money? And that's just the mindset, right? So you have to be thinking in terms of economy and not paycheck to paycheck thinking, So if you think in terms of the whole economy, like how we can work, you bring up Alaska. Alaska's been doing it for about 40 years. Right. So, and they have oil. For us, the first question is, where we're going to get the money from? I don't know. To be honest with you, today I don't know, because I haven't really examined it. I do know we have a ton of wasteful spending. I do know we have a ton of redundancy, and I know there's a ton of people that are getting, we'll just say government money that taxpayer is not benefiting from. I know that for a fact. I'm also thinking, if the Godfather movie taught us anything, it's, we can kill anybody. So we can find our way to Mr. Yang and his circle of people that are planning this in certain places across the country. But I think if we get in on these early stages, for one, this is just an option. For one, we could be that model, to be duplicated in other parts of the country. They're already starting it. And he has the resources and connections to kind of make that happen. Hawaii is perfect for it. Again, back to your question, people that know about it, support it. People that know how it works and have studied the long-term effects of it, support it. So people are going to pursue those passions that they have. They'll quit their job that they hate, and pursue something that is more in line with their vision of their own quality of life. Mm-hmm. They'll give back to community. They'll volunteer. They'll have time to take care of that aging relative in the house, which Hawaii there's no shortage of. And so, we have a rapidly growing aging population that's going to, we need to have the infrastructure in place to respond to that. But just, and the other thing too that comes from the studies that I find really interesting is people will become, which this is exactly what we need, is people will become more minimalist, right? So because you only have this and you need this so that you can pursue this, you're only going to buy need to have, not nice to have. Right. So there's a lot of good behavior that I think that could come with that kind of mechanism in place. I think you can, if that's articulated correctly, especially to my 53,000 new friends, if that's articulated properly, because I think that's where a lot of ideas fall short. I just didn't understand what they were talking about, and then it dies, right? But if you can make them a part of it and see exactly how it's relevant to their daily lives and the future of their children, I think you can garner a lot of support that way.
Yeah, I think that the problem is, like, really good ideas, they're not sound bites. Like, they take time to explain. And that's why I really don't like debates, because like they got to go to commercial. They got to, like, you only get 30 seconds to speak, Senator, or those kind of, like, if this is important and it's going to be leading our entire country, like, let's have something without commercials. Let's not go to commercial. Let's be able to take long form conversation and explain things that need to be explained, rather than, trying to get somebody to say something in 30 seconds.
Right.
That drives me nuts.
I agree.
So how I always hear things when people are on the campaign trail about the effects on family members and people that support you. How has that been for your family? Have they?
Oh, brutal. Brutal. And I'm not even done. Well, I always feel funny when I say I have one son because all of our kids, including, I never even talked about the time that I spent in San Francisco, both episodes in San Francisco. But so my son grew up with all the Seau kids, and we were there until he was 5 years old. So I had one son that I gave birth to, and my brother has 5 kids, 4 boys, 1 girl. My other brother has 3 girls, 1 boy. My sister has 2 boys, 1 girl. So anyway, we have a ton of boys. We have 3 new babies. 1 already came, newborns this year, all boys. So
wow.
It's easy to, did I mention I was the oldest?
Yeah.
So there's a lot of support. Our kids are really involved. All of them are, super involved in what's happening in various communities, which is what happens when you grow up in organized sports. So, they're really dialed in anyway. So I don't have a lot of explaining to do. It's just, show up, do this, click here, make this happen.
Yeah.
And I have a happy hour to get to. So they make it super easy. Anybody, and I just had this thought too this morning, if you're thinking of any young people thinking of running for office, get bodies. I had a conversation too with, I was doing a series of interviews with my niece, Taylor, about, if you're going to campaign on change, you have to show people that you're not doing the same old thing over and over, right? So I'm self-funding my campaign. It's totally grassroots. It's completely organic, and which is more fun. I'm not taking any donations. Who in their right mind is going to ask anybody for donations in a pandemic, right? So I redirected those kind offers to food bank, and I don't solicit endorsements. Like I told my niece, endorsements is a great word during the campaign, bad word after the campaign.
Yeah,
right?
owe me.
Right.
So let's just bypass any
Wow.
problems that are going to arise from that. So anyway, back to your question. Yeah, my family deserves every bit of pain I can dish out.
Spoken like a big sister.
I have Linda Massoli, who is in the Bay Area, says, how can we help you and your campaign? Is there anything that we in the Bay Area can help push? Is there, if we wanted to make a donation, is there a website? Is there
Well, we can't take donations out of state for one, so thank you anyway. But I'm not big. If you're smart and if you're surrounded by smart people that just know how to win, we're so competitive. The Higgins family, Samoans in general, pioneers, warriors. Give me a competition. Just let me at it. So we work really hard. I have not, for 1 second, you guys, stopped and thought, oh, I wish I had more money. If I need anything, that means I got to go walk up St. Louis Heights, and pound on doors, or up Wilhelmina Rise, Melanie Heights, and then the easy stuff down at, sea level.
Yeah.
You just, if you can, the campaigning is just face to face. I know so many people over the years that had said, if that guy never knocked on my door, I never would have voted for him.
Yeah.
That's what wins campaigns.
Right.
So thank you. The quick answer is, this is huge, right? I mean, a platform like this, just to get the name out there, especially in our community. I hope that this garners some really good feedback about, this is what our community needs. How can you, Vicki, help us with that? I'm waiting for Nunny to call, This worked for me, you might try this, where you're experiencing this problem and vice versa. And that's another thing, aside from the decision making that we were talking about earlier, is seems to be more and more people just lock themselves in their office.
Yeah.
We're natural conversationalists.
I know.
We're social, crazy animals, you know? So I like nothing more than getting out and talking to people and exchanging ideas and sharing solutions. And that you can do with anyone. Yeah.
Yeah. It's our natural, you know, Pacific Islanders are natural socialists. We talk to everyone. I go to the grocery store. My husband's like, do you have to talk to everyone? I was like, yeah, I'm nosy. I'm nosy. Can we direct local volunteers to you? That's what Linda was saying. So you do have a Facebook page. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
You know, I have bodies. And we've covered the district pretty well. The only reason I hesitate is, please don't think I'm ungrateful by any stretch, is because of the timing. So today, just too hard to coordinate people right now, and I don't want to waste their time. But ballots are coming out. Some came out already, to my surprise, but they were scheduled to come out today. And then the deadline to get all the ballots in is August 8th. So we've already done a lot of groundwork. But after I win this one, you better bet I'm going to ask for bodies.
That's right. We're going to come visit you when you win.
Yeah, we were actually in on Oahu in January of this year.
Right before the pandemic.
And that feels like 10 years ago. Like that, right. I mean, Naki and I were talking about that like a couple of weeks ago. We were thinking, does that really feel like it was this year that we were in Hawaii? Like that feels like a long time ago.
Yeah.
Because 2020 is a whole different animal.
It is.
I had a question about.
What did you see? Let me ask you a question.
Okay.
So where did you guys stay? What part of the island?
We stayed in Waikiki. We were right in the middle of everything.
Was there anything aside from everything that you loved? Was there anything that you saw that surprised you, or that you thought you would not like to see next time?
Having lived there, the homeless. So I lived in, when I first moved out there, I lived in Makaha.
Okay.
So the beach parks on the way out there from Nanakuli all the way out, you know, the beach parks had people, you know, there was some homeless people. The homeless, when we were there in January, was shocking to me, because I've been back. I've visited since I moved in '96, I think. I've been there a few times, but I was thinking, so last time Naki, for her birthday, we ended up going to Haleiwa, and we stayed, you know, on the beach in this, you know, Airbnb. And that's the way we really want. It's either on the beach there, or it's either there or Waikiki and be on the beach. So we didn't see any homeless people on the North Shore. And when we drove, you know, up to PCC, there were spots, but to see it in Waikiki, I was really surprised by that must be the scope of the problem, because it's like right in tourist central.
That's well, that impacts everyone's quality of life, right? Including the homeless. So again, there's models to address this. You know, we definitely need private-public partnerships. There's a few things going on right now in a different part of the island that are addressing that. You have your families that have fallen on rough times. That's your low-hanging fruit. You know, we can take care of them pretty quickly. The sad fact is, you know, between 80-90% of them are experiencing some form of addiction, you know, and a percentage of that have mental illness. So what can't happen is that everybody has to coexist with them on the streets, you know. So like I say, me being here from ancient times, walking past somebody screaming at the top of their lungs, half naked, with a full shopping cart, destined, you know, on their way to the middle of the street in front of a bus. Well, that's just not an option anymore. We can't allow that to happen. presently, my feeling is, law enforcement's hands are tied. And it's because there is no clear direction on how to address this problem. Another thing that has come up recently is they're categorizing the people that are getting off planes now. So, they'll say there's a total of 2,000 people coming off of the plane, or a certain portion of them are visitors. Can't understand that. But every day there's a report of between 100 and 200 people relocating here. Who are these people? So you add that up, 365 days a year, between 100 and 200, it's,
it's crazy.
A lot of them that are not going to be contributing to Hawaii in any positive way. So other states have to stop sending their problem here,
Do you
we
think
just
the
don't
governor
have the capacity for it.
Do you think the governor should have shut down the airports like New Zealand did and Samoa did and all the islands where their numbers are 0? Do you think he should have? Because, people are vacationing. Oh, we got a cheap fare to Hawaii for $50. You get there and you have to be quarantined for $14. Some people are getting through and some people are staying quarantined.
Well, that's part of the problem, right? I mean, would you do this in your personal life? Like, just say, hey kids, this is going to happen, and then go off and get a pedicure. I mean, this is going to happen, and this is how it's going to happen, or this is not going to happen, and this is how we're going to enforce it. Right. So we haven't had any enforcement of these big plans. And like you said, New Zealand, we're crazy for New Zealand, right? I mean, I'm always saying, there's very little we have to invent anymore. Just look to your neighbors for, their successes and steal it.
Right.
And especially if it's working well, New Zealand is a perfect place for us to emulate, because they're just so much bigger than us, and, they've turned into a visitor destination. I remember when nobody even heard of New Zealand.
Right.
And now it's like such a desired, vacation destination. So there's models. There's just models. And again, I can kill her too over the phone.
Yeah.
So to answer your question, absolutely. Yeah, I would have shut it down. And because it's not benefiting anyone to have a handful of tourists in Waikiki.
Right.
It's not filling our restaurants. It's not filling our hotel rooms, which a lot of empty hotel rooms bring about another solution to something else, right? So, and we're not going to recover. And like I said, I already feel that visitor industry is a failure. I would rather, now I'm spilling. There's been a lot of talk. All eyes are on the mayor's race right now. So a lot of their talk is about, we need a higher capacity visitor that stays longer. Like, well, that's not going to happen in Waikiki. You know where that's going to happen is neighbor islands, right? For that Hawaii experience.
Right.
So we need to focus on Oahu more of being that enterprising hub, that place of opportunity, and everything that you could possibly want to do or want to build or want to develop, whatever that is, that's here, and we'll have an occasional visitor in Waikiki. But for Oahu, I always felt that the tourism should be the gravy, not the meal. And do you think this is our last hit to visitor industry?
Right.
No. So we have to become pandemic proof as much as possible.
Right.
It's interesting that like what you're talking about is diversification of infrastructure, and there's a lot of Scandinavian countries that people point to as models for more socialist, and not in a bad way, but more socialist programs. And it's interesting when you dig into their economies, the really successful countries over there, they're not relying on their oil. Like they have a whole bunch of different industries that are working. The oil's kind of the you know, it is a major part of it. But if that falters and the oil, oil barrel, the price falls, they have a bunch of other irons in the fire to make things
Right.
go. And I think that's a really good point with Hawaii. One of the things that as you sit here, as I sit here and watch you talk about Hawaii and how passionate you are about it, I have Texas in my area that I have for work, and I was at dinner one time, and they were talking about how there is no state more proud of their state than Texas, and I laughed out loud, and they were like, "What are you laughing about?" I said, "You have people go to vacation in Texas and go back home with a drawl? No. You got people go to vacation in Hawaii, they come home with a pidgin accent. That happens all the time. They got stickers on the back of their cars. They got all these things. They got aloha shirts. Like, I get you think you're like, you don't understand that you think Texas has that much pride. Hawaii.
Well, why are they taking all our football players then?
Yeah,
right.
Right in the middle of Dallas, they have that. I can't remember the name of the school, but they have that school that has all the Tongan and Samoan players.
Several,
but
it's
just amazing what how passionate Hawaiians are about their state and the pride that the people that live there have for it. And then here you have a great example. Like, you didn't like the way that things are being run, so I'm going to roll up my sleeves and I'm going to run for office because I think I got a better way to do it. I mean, that's that work ethic that you see in Hawaii, that aloha of, I love my neighbors. I love my island. I love Rainbow Drive-In. So I'm going to go make things better for the community. And that's really, it's refreshing to see. And I think that, having an incumbent that's been there since '86, I think you said, there's people that are just, they keep talking about term limits, and I keep saying, look, like, the voters can enact term limits. You don't need a law that says term limits.
That's exactly what I tell people. But we need candidates, though. Yeah. And if there's anything I want to share with your vast audience, I really think Samoans are natural politicians, and I mean that in the best of ways. They're just naturally gifted to be politicians. And so I encourage our young people, or anybody who's sitting there, in their house in the pandemic, feeling the way that I did, look into it. What do you need to do to file your nomination papers? What does your district look like? What kind of support, how many bodies can I, and our community, that's no problem. So, but I really would like to encourage, and that leads to the term limits. Politicians they're never going to enact term limits. They're never going to do that.
They benefit from not having. Why are we asking the people that are benefiting from it to change it? They're never going to do that.
Exactly. So we need more good people to get out there, put your neck on the line, and just do it. Nobody's going to die, Just get out. The best way to do it is just get out and start talking to people. Get those ideas going. Just start flexing those muscles.
Mm-hmm. Nani must have been itching because she's on saying, "Hi, Vicki." Nani, we're talking about you and your nonprofit work. Flo says, "True natural servant leaders for the people." Mm-hmm. And then, Cora Tangaloa, hello, welcome. And Lena is saying, "So true." So we love the passion.
Love you, Lena.
Mm-hmm. We love the passion that you have for your state, and it shows from the way that you talk about what you want to change, and during a pandemic. And what I love about what you said is that your grassroots, and how can you ask people in the middle of a pandemic for money, but to see them and to see them see your face and how passionate you are, that they're going to vote for you because you love the way that they love. And we want to support you and wish you well. And do you, your baby, where is your baby? And
my baby, he just called. He's back on the East Coast. So he was here up until about a month ago with his girlfriend. Mm-hmm. He's 23 now. And back on the East Coast pursuing, he's a brilliant musician,
Wow.
brilliant songwriter, and all the personality that comes along with those things, but an artist. But the path that he envisioned for himself, that opportunity isn't here for them. So he's, you know, pounding the pavement in New York like that.
Mm-hmm.
And his girl is in medical school. She was going to UH over here, which is another thing. I'm not going to talk a lot about it, but another thing we really, really need to fix in Hawaii is our public education. And we need to take care of our D1 school, UH. I understand enrollment is down almost 30% pre-pandemic. Wow. So that's what I'm talking about. Why weren't the alarm bells going off at 20%, 10%? Who's not wanting to come go to college in Hawaii?
In Hawaii.
So somebody's not doing their job.
Yeah, yeah. Nani said already 23, almost same age as us. Oh, just a little bit more, just a little bit more. Oh, Vicki, we're so grateful for your time. We wish you amazing. It flew by. It's already an hour has gone through.
Just means we'll have to do it again.
Amazing luck, and we wish you love and aloha and peace throughout your whole journey. And then when you win, girl, we come see you. We come to see you.
Oh, on you guys' next trip to Samoa, you just come pick me up.
Yeah.
Pick you up in Oahu.
Yes. Any last words you'd like to get out, and just to let everyone know how they can reach you and show support, and go to her page on Facebook and wish her luck and send your love. And if there's a way you feel like you can help, or, you know, words of encouragement are amazing. But we just wanted to highlight Vicki because she is a Pacific Island. Okay, I'm going to cry. She's a Pacific Islander role. I know. She's a Pacific Islander role.
We talked about this.
I know. And it's because girls and women and men, Pacific Islanders, this is what you can be doing. Like, this is going to be the norm for you to see a Pacific Islander in Senate, in government, in whatever you want to do. This is what the face looks like. It looks like yours. So thank you so much for your time. And thank you for what you're doing for Hawaii. We appreciate it. I'm such a crybaby.
Hey, and salute to you two. This platform is so brilliant. I know it took a lot of hard work to build the audience that you have, but amazing.
Thank you.
This could be the beginning for all of us. You know,
hey,
we have to go.
Having people like you out there makes it easy. Because if there weren't people like you, wouldn't have shows. So having people like you out there doing it in the game and doing it makes our job a lot easier.
Yeah. So thank you so much.
Thank
you. And God bless your journey.
Thank you so much.
Thank you everyone for tuning in. Adele sends her love and wishes. Nani, Flo, she says she loves your passion. Everyone on is sending their love. Molly is sending hearts and kisses. Thank you, everyone.
And I miss them all so much. Just wait. You guys I'm gonna be ringing your doorbell soon.
Thank you everyone for tuning in.
Bye. Thank you,
Vicki.